back on this beautiful channel, and thanks for checking in so far. Okay, talk time. Okay, so I know you guys saw the Super Bowl halftime show on Sunday with Kendrick Lamar, SZA was there, Mustard, and also a Snake cameo from Serena Williams doing a crip walk, which sparked a controversy in and of itself, but we'll get to that later. From the title of the video, first thought that's probably going through your head is, oh my god, she's a Kendrick hater. Oh my gosh, she's one of those black men haters. And here we go. Wow. So personally, I know that there's an ongoing conflict with Black women concerning two different sides. On one hand, there's the divestors, and over on the other side, there are the people who stand a united Black community. And it's not like this divide is new to us either, because I mean, we clearly see it all the time. Like when Rose from Queen of Kings got on that podcast with Tasha K a few months back. I just want to come out the bush though and say that I am neither of those sides, okay? I have a neutral stance towards Black men in terms of them just being like any other male in this society. I do not give them any type of prioritization whatsoever, but I do mention them a lot and give them a lot of critiques throughout my work because we as Black women are intrinsically linked to Black men, whether we like that fact or not. So we have to consider their crucial role in our political condition at the moment as well. What I do want to talk about, though, in terms of Kendrick Lamar's performance at the halftime show, is Black men and their tokenization or tokenism of darker Black women for their political endeavors. Without guarantee, no Black male political movement, or political movement at all for that matter, can be complete without the cameo of an unambiguous darker Black woman, whether we're in the background as dancers in their performance, or whether we're in the foreground as the wife in their family unit. And yes, I know some Black men like to flip this on their head and claim that it's really Black women who are the ones using them, and we're the ones who aren't loyal, and blah, 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 this, and blah, 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 that. But let me just say that this is a complete projection and a self-construction in their head that is a symptom of their guilt. Admittedly, they love to use us as extra hands on deck in their racism battle against the white man. But when that united front isn't needed, they very much find themselves socially excluding darker women to the point where they don't even make the effort to approach us or speak to us in a cordial manner in public settings. I talked about Kendrick last year on my blog a couple of months after the beef between him and Drake started to get real. It was around May when I mentioned one of his songs, Zulu Love, in my title, because Kendrick, by his own words, does not give a bleep about complexion, especially when it's in concern to women like his wife. But Drake's her same shade, and Kendrick does not feel the same way about him or any of the other lighter males in the hip-hop industry. I bring this up because this is a staple of the Black male condition and what we as darker Black women have to be wary of in our political endeavors when we tread into their territory. I am a big believer in the idea that darker Black women should not be advocating for anyone but themselves right now, because the only people who can get us out of this situation and poor condition that white society has put us in is ourselves. Every other group around us is indeed an accomplice in our disenfranchisement, including Black men, so it's something that shouldn't even be a thought in our mind right now. The political movement for us as darker Black women is going to take the most energy and effort seen out of any group in this society ever before, and so we need every single drop we can get. So we should not be on the image of anyone else's political movement, given how much work we still have to do for ourselves. We have to be smart about this. We know others like to tokenize us to give off certain vibes of progressiveness and tolerance, but that is not what we should be doing right now, especially if we ever want to truly improve our own condition in society beyond surface level appearances. Some Black women have a one-track mind, right? They'll see a Black man cameoing an unambiguous darker Black woman for a music video, for his platform, etc., and then they'll immediately jump on it as the holy grail of Black unity and kumbaya-ness. They will use a likely misogynistic or colorist rapper's inclusion of a darker Black woman in one of his videos, and they'll say that every single talking point about Black men's negative impact on darker Black women has suddenly been magically evaporated. But let's cut to the truth. Black men are not politically aligned with darker black women, even if they try to do like the white people and tokenize us in these shows to make it seem that way. We should implicitly understand as darker black women that our poor condition in white society is a direct result and consequence of black men not being aligned with us and of them not explicitly defending us. I mentioned this to a couple other people in my circles, but when Serena was getting made fun of by millions of black men online for her darker hue, for her unambiguous Afrocentric features, Kendrick and Mustard's crew were nowhere to be found. Not they or any other prominent black man for that matter was out here defending her from this black male onslaught of anti-black woman rhetoric. In fact, her white husband was seen just recently doing more than either of them combined, which adds more to my main point that black men know how to frame things to their liking, just like another group of people we're familiar with. They know who they should take pictures with to make themselves look like a man of the community, and they know who they actually want to be around to gain points in white society and to live out their fantasy of the NFL dream family. Whenever we as darker black women point this out, or how they play the game of tokenism with us as darker black women, we are always accused of doing what they have been doing this whole time, which is developing a self construct in our head. They say that everything we're seeing, everything we're experiencing from them firsthand is something that we've constructed or imagined in our heads, as if they're the imaginary bully in our fantasy and we're just some perpetual victim who can't seem to get a break. But let's be clear. This isn't true in the slightest, and they are very much aware of their behavior in real life, which makes this all the more manipulative. And it's not so much the rejection that stings, because again, we were never meant to be everyone's cup of tea, but it's more so the gaslighting and the dehumanization that comes with it. Because we're being told, as darker women, that the reason we're being rejected is because of some shortcoming or flaw that is specific to us, when in reality, it's just other people's biases and preferences at play. We aren't better or worse than anyone else on average, but because of certain people's biases and preferences, we are always being held and evaluated to Eurocentric standards, which of course we won't fit into because it is quite literally the opposite of who we are. And again, with this, I am not a divester, okay? Me saying this is not done with a hatred or bitterness, as they love to brand us with, of black men, but rather is done with a critical awareness for how black men, among others, are also a contributor to darker black women's poor political condition in white society. In one blog, I brought up how black women very much exist in a liminal state in white society. We are floaters, so they make it very difficult for us in particular to own anything or obtain status of any kind. For the most part, we are told to be invisible and work as cogs on the margins of society until someone from one of the more quote unquote prestigious groups sees value in us and pulls us from out of the limbo to benefit them in one shape or another. We are rarely just naturally there in those spaces, which makes sense given we live in a white society and are held to Eurocentric standards. Often we have to claw, kick, and climb our way to the top, or be ushered in through DEI initiatives so that we can make other people, but most notably men, look good. And it's a very dehumanizing experience to be treated this way, as if you only exist in the service of others, especially when those others do not serve you and would strip you of your voice the moment you inconvenience them. With all that being said, in the end, I truly loved Kendrick Lamar's performance at Super Bowl Sunday. SZA's angelic singing literally carried the whole performance for me because, as one fan told it, this beef between Kendrick and Drake has been getting down since March of 2024, and even a decade before that, as I mentioned in my blog. So this has got to be the longest funeral ever. Also, Samuel L. Jackson's reference to the whole Uncle Sam thing and the big American game really took the show to a new height. But what I also want those watching to understand is that there is a double game being played here, especially pertaining to darker black women specifically. Instead of developing a proper welfare system, white society likes to place us specifically in the role of being everyone else's safety net. So our feelings, our humanity, and our boundaries as dark or black women get diminished in that process. But we do have more power than we'd like to believe, because if every single dark or black woman today stopped entertaining their antics and stopped participating in this game of fake solidarity that they like to play with us, then this society would quite literally cease to function. They would have to find some other means to do the low level labor and emotional work that they've always conditioned darker women into doing, whether that's using ChatGPT as a therapist or creating some type of robotic assembly line that won't talk back to them for their colorist ways. If Samuel L. Jackson got up on that stage as Uncle Sam, the living personification of the US government and the respectability sellouts that we know today, then what can we say about Kendrick? Who is he the personification of? Well, I'd say that he is the personification of a white system of black men who use the image of darker black women deliberately to their convenience, knowing that in their personal circles, knowing that in their everyday lives, they do not show up for black women the way they like to perform, or let us anywhere near their spaces. Dare I say, black men today, despite this beautiful performance, may be one of the biggest barriers darker black women have in obtaining the treatment we deserve. Because as long as we have black men willing to fight us, willing to override us every single time we assert certain facts about our own experiences, then we will never have this united community that they like to claim we have. Maybe in another video I can get more into the details, but for now, thanks for watching and peace out. Mwah!